whenever I've gone through a rough period, once that time's passed and I'm kind of thinking back about it, I don't remember so strongly the negative aspects of it. It's more just kind of a vague, oh, this was a bad time, but I feel it much less strongly than in the moment when it was just kind of like every day, all the time was really rough. But conversely, the moments that were, even just neutral or good, good in any way, and just any time that kind of took me out of whatever the bad experience was, that at the time didn't feel especially memorable or anything like that, but thinking about it now, those times stand out as being like just very, very memorable, just like a very good experience. And I just think that's really nice that, it sucks to go through stuff sometimes, but just the memories that are left afterwards, I'm really just remembering even just one specific good part, or one part that gave me some relief out of a bad period. Just feels like really special looking back, and just it would just be otherwise not noteworthy experiences. Like one I'm thinking about right now is there was a bad hurricane here where I live about a year ago, and I had to evacuate town for a couple weeks, and I went and I stayed with my parents in another city, and the whole surrounding parts of it were really bad. I lost my job. My house where I live wasn't damaged. I didn't lose that, but I couldn't live there for the time being. There was like pretty much no communication from where I live. I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know when I would be able to move back or start working again. So it's just kind of a lot of unknowns, just a period of just waiting, because there was nothing else to do. And the first day, I think it was, well, whatever, it all blends together, but maybe the first day or so that I was back staying there, I was out with my partner. He came with me, and we were just kind of out just exploring around the downtown area a little bit. We were just trying to, I guess, just kind of get our bearings and like figure out what we were going to do for a while. So we just spent the whole day just wandering and just kind of finding some stores, just kind of basically just like having a normal carefree day in the midst of a time that we could not do that where we lived. And just remember my partner went back to stay with her family later that day, and I just kind of continued exploring around, just wandering around for a while on my own. I went to a kava bar that I'd never been to, so I didn't really get into that scene when I lived there growing up, but went there, and then I just kind of spent a little while. I was just looking up places that I used to know growing up. Just a park I remember from my childhood, or there was just exploring old neighborhoods that I used to live in that I hadn't been back to in years. And you know, nothing even happened that day, but I still just look back now and I just think like what a great day that was. Like that just felt like a truly just like a carefree day, and I don't really remember so strongly the feelings surrounding it, of just like kind of just like not knowing what was going on, just like really fearful about like money and life situations and just kind of like basic needs type stuff. I don't really think about that, but I just remember this one like really nice day, and you know, I was just like walking around an old neighborhood I lived in as a kid, just kind of seeing what had changed. You know, of course, a lot of the small houses there had been taken down, and you know, way more bigger expensive houses had been put up. So you know, things have changed, and it wasn't quite as nostalgic as like literally just seeing it how it was when I lived there. But I would just walk around and you know, see how small everything looked that seemed really big when I was a little kid living there. I just remember this long, what I thought was a long trek down to a kind of a creek in a park area nearby. I remember this being such a expedition as a kid, and I go down there on that day, and you know, it just takes me a couple minutes, but it was really nice just to see what had changed, just kind of think about the time that I lived there, which was of course a much more carefree time. I was just a really young kid back then, and kind of helped me just be back in that mindset of just feels like a purely exploratory phase. I wasn't really thinking about anything outside of that moment. It was just really experiencing the day as it came, just like I would have back then when I was just kind of living day to day. I wasn't thinking about longer term plans or adult responsibilities or anything like that. And I just walked along this park and creek where I used to play all the time as a kid. I don't even know what else to say about it. Nothing even happened. I wasn't really thinking about anything in particular. It was just like a really nice time, and it was, you know, in the midst of like a really bad circumstance. It was like one of the best days I had had in a long time. I don't know the last time before that I truly had just a day where I wasn't thinking about the future or day-to-day stuff, mundane type stuff. I think part of it was just getting out of my usual scenery helped, just kind of remove myself from my normal life. But I just look really fondly back on that day, a day that nothing even happened, and was like one of the worst periods of my life so far. Another time thought about this was, I'm sure everyone has got some experiences like this, but it was during COVID in 2020, and you know, like many people, I lost my job. It's like a really bad time. Money-wise, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I couldn't get unemployment because that whole system is pretty convoluted and designed to not help people as much as possible. So I was just racking up credit card debt. I had no savings. Was really very just stressed about the world in general. There was like a lot of unknowns back then. All we really knew is that like millions of people were dying. We weren't really supposed to go out. I just stayed at home all day. I didn't know when I was going to be able to work. I was afraid for my life too, or just afraid of getting sick, afraid of anything happening like that. And just remember one day, several months later, I think this was in November, after this had all started in March, my unemployment finally kicked in. So I had a little bit, stepped on a rock. I had a little bit of well, comfort's not really the right word, a little bit of relief from just like the money stress, the constant money drain of just being alive with no income. And I had been so stressed before this. I feel like I was just crying every morning. I would just get up, try and look for jobs. Of course, nothing was hiring. Everything was still relatively shut down, even then. And I was just like so overwhelmed, so stressed. But just this one day, this one little thing happened. Unemployment kicked in. I got a little bit of money. It was not remotely enough to live on, but it was something. It was better than just continuing to rack up debt. And I remember just going out, and this was kind of like the last story. I just went out, we could go outside and go out to places at this point. So just kind of went out, just wandered around the town, just had kind of a day. Nothing happened, but I just wasn't at home, just being stressed about jobs. I kind of like, I was able just to forget about that for a day. That was another of the worst periods of my life, was just that whole year, just losing a job, not being able to find work, not knowing really just like how to survive and keep going. And or just one little thing changed, just had like a little bit of relief. And just remember that day was really nice. It was kind of like I was holding my breath for several months, and then I finally breathed one time, and a lot of the anxieties just left for the moment. Another time, this was around the same period. This is a little bit later, but still in that same era. I was still jobless, had been looking for a job for months. My partner had gotten a kind of a temporary job between jobs that was at the mall, our local mall. And I just remember I would spend hours every morning at home just being stressed, looking for work, just on job sites, just applying for things, looking for things, just being completely overwhelmed. And then once in a while, for a little bit of relief, I would go down to the mall to visit my partner. And she would be on a break or something. We would go just like sit at the food court for a minute. I might wander around the mall for a little bit, and it's just another one of those times. Nothing even happens, completely unnoteworthy, but I just remember those were some of the best times I had at that mall. And just like it's not a good mall. I don't particularly like it. I was in like really bad depression, very stressed all the time about general life circumstances, but yeah, just those couple days I went to go visit just like really stood out. Those just felt like very special for some reason. It was just a little bit of relief in a really bad time. So I just think that's something nice that I've noticed, that once you go through something, the bad stuff kind of fades away a little bit. It just becomes less particular, less, not remembering the specifics too much, but the good parts of that, any good little small good time in the midst of those, just becomes even more clear and even more special over time. So it just makes me think of, I think it's important just to go out as you can and just have some experiences. It doesn't have to be anything planned. All these times I talked about were just completely, uneventful, mundane type days, but they just feel really special looking back. And I just think that's nice, just to go out and make some memories. Being able to think back and just have all these good memories, and not really remember the bad ones so strongly, I think just helps move forward. Just having good experiences to go off of and keep moving.